The wind howled softly across the dead moon. Dust drifted like fine powder, wrapping around the jagged rocks that had not moved for centuries. Above the silent landscape, a large transport ship descended slowly, its thrusters glowing faint blue against the darkness. Inside the ship, Marcus Cross stared out of the window, his tired eyes fixed on the ruined structure below. Marcus was a war veteran. Once he had stood tall in his uniform, a symbol of human strength and pride. But wars have a way of taking more than they give. Years of battles had left deep marks on him, scars on his body, and even deeper ones on his soul. He had seen friends fall, cities turn to dust, and hope fade away like smoke. Now, at the end of everything, he had come to this place, a forgotten alien moon, an abandoned base once owned by the Xerac, a proud alien race that had fought against humanity for decades. The base was silent, cold, and buried under layers of dust and broken metal. It was perfect for what Marcus wanted, a quiet place far away from people, from noise, from the past, a place where he could finally rest without dreams of war waking him at night. The ship landed gently on the cracked landing pad. Marcus grabbed his old duffel bag, the same one he had carried through every battlefield, and walked down the ramp. The air was thin but breathable. The moon's pale light spread across the landscape, and the alien base loomed ahead like a sleeping giant. He approached the entrance slowly. His boots crunched on the broken ground. The door was still standing, though its surface was marked with strange Xerac symbols and deep scratches. With a gentle push, the metal door slid open. The air inside was cold and still. Dust floated in the narrow beams of light coming from cracks in the ceiling. It felt like the world had forgotten this place long ago. Marcus turned on the small light attached to his jacket and walked down the long hallway. The walls were smooth and curved, typical Xerac architecture. They liked round shapes, unlike the sharp corners humans built. It almost felt alive. He could hear faint sounds too. At first, he thought it was the wind, but as he walked deeper, it felt like the base itself was whispering softly. He reached the main control room after passing through several dark corridors. Broken screens hung from the ceiling. Dust covered everything, but when Marcus wiped the control panel with his hand, a faint green glow appeared beneath his fingers. He froze for a moment. The base still had power. That was unexpected. "Old thing still breathes," he muttered softly to himself. Marcus had spent years learning about Xerac technology during the war. Enough to survive, but not enough to truly understand it. Slowly, carefully, he tapped a few controls. The lights in the room flickered to life one by one, weak but steady. The hum of power returned, and the base felt less like a grave and more like a sleeping machine. He dropped his bag near the control chair and sat down. For the first time in a long time, he let out a deep breath. He looked around at the quiet, dimly lit room. There was something strange about it, something peaceful. No shouting officers, no alarms, no gunfire, just silence. "This will do," he whispered. The days passed slowly. Marcus repaired a few basic systems: lights, doors, air filters. The base wasn't large, but it had enough space for one person. He explored room after room, finding old Xerac equipment, strange glowing stones, and empty sleeping quarters. Everything felt like time had stopped the day the Xerac left. He made one room his own. A simple bed, a table, a small heater. It wasn't much, but it was enough. At night, he would sit near the window and watch the stars. There were millions of them. Out there, life went on. But here, on this quiet moon, everything was still. And that was exactly what Marcus wanted. But not everything was peaceful. Sometimes late at night, he heard faint noises, footsteps in distant corridors, soft beeps from broken machines, whisper-like sounds that seemed to come from the walls themselves. At first, he told himself it was just the old systems waking up again. But a part of him felt there was something more. Something watching. One night, after several sleepless hours, Marcus decided to follow the sound. He grabbed a small flashlight and walked down a corridor he had avoided before. It was colder here. The walls were marked with strange Xerac writing. He couldn't read it, but it felt like a warning. The hallway curved downward, deeper into the base. As he walked, the sound grew clearer. A soft hum, almost like a heartbeat. Then he reached a sealed door. It was larger than the others, made of thick black metal. A faint green light pulsed in its center. Marcus placed his hand on the panel next to it. To his surprise, the door responded. With a long, slow hiss, it opened. The room beyond was unlike anything else in the base. It was a dome-shaped chamber with walls covered in glowing patterns. At the center stood a strange spherical object. It hovered a few inches above the ground, spinning slowly and shining softly like a living star. Marcus stepped inside carefully. The hum grew louder. The sphere reacted to his presence, its glow becoming brighter. He felt warmth on his skin. It wasn't threatening, it felt curious. "What are you?" he whispered. Without warning, the sphere projected a thin beam of green light toward the ceiling. Symbols and images filled the room. He saw flashes of Xerac ships, their cities, their people. He saw them building this base, laughing, training, living, and then he saw them leaving in a hurry. Something had forced them to abandon this place. The images vanished as quickly as they had appeared, and the sphere returned to its soft, slow spin. Marcus stood there, frozen. He had not seen anything like this since the war ended. Then the control panel near the entrance came to life. A cold, mechanical voice echoed through the room, speaking in a language Marcus did not fully understand. But the meaning was clear from the few words he recognized. "Unauthorized presence detected. Signal sent. Stand by." His heart skipped a beat. "Signal sent?" he repeated softly. Marcus rushed out of the room and ran back through the corridors. His boots echoed loudly in the silence. When he reached the control room, the screens were flashing. A red warning light blinked steadily. The base had sent out a signal to someone. He tapped on the console, trying to stop it, but the Xerac systems were too advanced. The signal was already gone, shooting through space like a flare. He leaned back in the chair and rubbed his face. He didn't know who would receive the signal. The Xerac pirates? Someone else? But whoever they were, they now knew the base was active again. The peaceful silence he had found was slipping away. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt something heavy in his chest. Fear, yes, but also something else. A feeling he had not felt since the war ended. Uncertainty. He looked around the room. The lights were brighter now. The hum of power stronger. It was as if the base itself had awakened fully. "Looks like I'm not alone anymore," he said quietly. Outside, the stars shone just as they had before, but somewhere far away something had heard the signal, and it was coming. End of part 1. This part builds a slow, atmospheric tension while showing Marcus's inner struggles, his search for peace, and the mysterious reawakening of the alien base. Part 2 will bring the twist and action when the real owner of the base arrives. The warning light kept flashing. The sound was steady and calm, but it made Marcus's heart beat faster. The base had sent out a signal, and he knew it wasn't just floating into empty space. Someone somewhere had received it. Marcus stood in the control room, his hands resting on the cold metal console. The quiet moon felt different now. Before, it had been a peaceful place, like a forgotten corner of the galaxy. But now the air felt heavier, the silence sharper. Something was coming. He walked to the window. The stars outside looked calm, but Marcus knew better. He had spent too many years in the war to trust silence. It was always quiet before something big happened. He took a deep breath and began to prepare. He checked the base doors, the air system, and the main power core. Everything was still working. The Xerac technology was old but strong. It felt as if the base was waiting for this moment, as if it had never truly been abandoned. He returned to the control panel and tapped a few keys. The main radar system came online, its soft green screen lighting up the room. A faint dot appeared on the edge of the display. A ship, it was coming closer. Slowly, steadily, Marcus stared at the dot for a long time. A part of him wanted to run, to leave the moon and find another place to disappear, but he didn't. He had come here to end his journey, not run from it. If someone was coming, then he would face it. Hours passed. The dot on the radar grew larger. Finally, Marcus heard a soft hum from the sky above. He stepped outside the base, the cold wind brushing against his face. High above, a ship broke through the clouds, sleek, black, and elegant. Its blue lights cut through the darkness. The ship landed slowly on the old landing pad, not far from where his own small transport sat. Dust swirled in the air. The door of the ship opened with a soft hiss and a figure stepped out. It was tall and thin with smooth, dark skin that shimmered under the moonlight. Its eyes glowed faintly blue. Marcus had seen Xerac before during the war. But this one was different. It moved with quiet grace, not with the hard steps of a soldier. The figure stopped a few meters away from Marcus and tilted its head slightly. Its voice, soft but clear, echoed through the thin air. "You are human," it said in accented English. Marcus nodded. And you're Zirak. The figure took a slow step closer. This place is not yours. Marcus stood firm. I bought it. Records say it was abandoned. The Zirak's eyes narrowed, not in anger but in something closer to surprise. Abandoned, it repeated softly, as if the word carried more weight than Marcus could understand. For a long moment, neither moved. The only sound was the wind brushing against the rocks. Then the Zirak raised one hand, placing it gently on the wall of the base beside the door. A soft light appeared under its palm. Marcus saw it clearly. The base responded to the touch as if welcoming an old friend home. The Zirak turned its gaze back to Marcus. I am Erika, it said simply. This is my home. Marcus felt a strange pull inside his chest. He wasn't sure if it was fear, guilt, or something else. Then why did you leave? He asked quietly. Erika's eyes dimmed a little. Because of the war, it said. Because everything we built here was taken by fire and silence. We thought this place was lost. Erika walked past Marcus and entered the base. Marcus followed slowly. The alien moved through the corridors with a kind of quiet sadness, like someone walking through an old memory. When they reached the control room, Erika touched the panels with ease. The screens responded faster than they ever had for Marcus. It was clear the base still belonged to Erika. You woke it, Erika said without turning around. The heart of this place. The sphere. Marcus nodded. I didn't mean to. I was just looking around. The Zirak's long fingers slid over the controls. The heart has called, Erika said softly. And not only to me. Others will hear it too. Not all of them are friends, Marcus frowned. Others? Erika finally turned to face him. The Zirak are not one. There are those who wish for peace. But others, the alien paused. They dream of war again. If they find this place, they will not let it live quietly. They will not let you live quietly. Marcus looked down at his hands. He had come here to disappear, to escape war. But now it was walking back into his life. Not as a battle between humans and Zirak, but as something different. Something that might change everything. I didn't ask for this, Marcus said quietly. Erika's voice softened. Neither did I. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Erika walked toward the center console and activated a projection. A soft blue light filled the room, showing a map of the surrounding stars. A cluster of red dots moved toward their moon. They are coming, Erika said calmly. A small group, but they will not stop. They think this base still holds the power of the past. To them it is a weapon. Marcus stared at the red dots. He felt the same tightness in his chest that he used to feel before every battle. But this time it was different. He wasn't standing in a human base surrounded by soldiers. He was standing in an alien home with someone who was supposed to be his enemy. What are you going to do? Marcus asked. Erika met his eyes. I will protect it. This place is the last piece of my people's memory. It cannot be destroyed again. Marcus took a deep breath. He could have walked away. He could have taken his ship and flown far from this moon. But something inside him whispered no. He had spent years fighting for orders he didn't believe in. But here, for the first time, he felt like he could make his own choice. I'll help, he said. Erika looked at him with quiet surprise. Why? Because I'm tired of running, Marcus replied. And maybe I owe someone a little more than silence. For the first time, Erika's face softened. It wasn't quite a smile, but something close. The next hours passed quickly. Erika showed Marcus the systems of the base that he hadn't even touched. Doors, energy shields, sensor arrays, everything was still here, sleeping under the dust. Together they woke the base fully. The old lights grew brighter. The humming sound filled the halls again. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. A purpose. Not the cold orders of a commander. A real choice. When the enemy ships finally appeared on the radar, the base was ready. Erika stood at the main console, calm and focused. Marcus stood beside him, his heart steady. They are Zirak too? Marcus asked. Yes, Erika said softly. But they are not like me. They only see the past. They want to live inside it. Marcus looked at the screen, at the growing number of red dots. Then let's give them a different future, he said. When the ships entered the moon's orbit, the ground shook slightly. Erika closed his eyes for a moment, listening to something Marcus couldn't hear. They are here, Erika whispered. The base came alive. Lights traced across the walls. Shields shimmered to life around the landing pad, and the main control room glowed bright. It felt less like a ruin and more like a living thing. Through the window, Marcus saw the ship's land. Sleek, black, and sharp, very different from Erica's smooth, curved vessel. A group of figures stepped out. They didn't speak at first, but the air around them felt cold. Erica walked toward the main entrance. Marcus followed. The doors opened with a soft sound. The leader of the group, taller than the others, stepped forward. His eyes burned with sharp blue light. "Erica," the leader said. "You returned." Erica's voice was calm. "Yes, this place is not yours," the leader tilted his head. "It belongs to the Zirak, to the ones who remember." "It belongs to peace," Erica replied, "not to war." Marcus didn't understand all their words, but he understood their meaning. He saw the way Erica stood, strong, not as a soldier, but as someone protecting their home. For a long moment, there was silence. Then slowly, the leader turned his gaze to Marcus. "A human," he said with clear dislike. Erica spoke softly. "He stands with me." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Then you have already chosen." The air grew tense. The base hummed softly, its systems ready but quiet. Marcus stood a step behind Erica, his hands steady. He knew this wasn't like the wars of the past. This wasn't about armies or commands. It was about a choice. Erica raised his hand and touched the wall. The base responded, sending out a low sound that echoed like a heartbeat. The leader and his followers shifted, uneasy. "This place will not serve war again," Erica said firmly. "Not yours. Not theirs. Not anyone's." Marcus took a slow step forward. "You're not the only ones who lost things in the war," he said, his voice calm but strong. "But if everything we build just leads back to fighting, then what's the point of building at all?" The leader's sharp eyes flicked between Marcus and Erica. The silence stretched long. Then slowly the other Zirak lowered their hands. They weren't ready to fight. Not against Erica. Not against the heart of their past. The leader stared at Erica one last time, then turned away. "This isn't the end," he said quietly. Then, one by one, the Zirak walked back to their ship. Marcus watched as their ship lifted into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Back inside the base, the lights dimmed again. The hum softened to a steady, calm rhythm. Erica stood in silence for a long moment. "You didn't have to stay," Erica said softly. Marcus smiled faintly. "Yeah, I guess I didn't." Erica looked at him with quiet respect. "This place is your home too now." Marcus looked out the window at the stars. He had come here to end his story, to fade away quietly. But now everything felt different. He wasn't alone anymore. For the first time in years, his heart felt alive.